Hey there guys, today we're going to be doing something pretty cool. It's going to be all revolving around this generator building here and our garage fire alarm system. Today on this generator building here, we're going to be installing a generator emergency shutdown pull station. This is going to be pretty cool. Let's go ahead and first take a look at what we're going to be installing and then talk about how we're going to be doing it and what's it going to do. So right here in my hand, these are the two most important components that we're going to be installing. Well, actually, that's not completely true. We're also going to need one of these guys right here, a fire alarm monitor module, but I'll talk more about that later on with how that's going to implement with this setup. Actually, one thing before we open this up is let's explain why I'm doing this. This emergency generator stop is essentially going to be a way for you to shut down the generator in an emergency. Of course, we already tied the fire alarm system into our generator, where if the fire alarm system goes off in the generator building, where if either those two detectors in there activate, it will trip a relay module and shut down the generator. So what we're going to be doing today is adding a way to do that manually. This was something that was recommended for me to do by a few different viewers, and I didn't entirely originally think it was that necessary. It definitely wouldn't hurt anything, and it's not a bad idea to have. So even though this did end up costing me actually a few $100s, it should hopefully be a pretty cool video. So now with that said, let's go take a look at the components. So firstly, let's take a look at our emergency stop switch, essentially. First of all, as that's going to be one of the most important parts of this. I do have this blurred because there's shipping information, and it was going to be easier to blur it in editing versus trying to peel this thing off. So this is going to be a pretty neat device. This right here pretty well gives it away, as if you guys don't already know from the thumbnail, but boom. Not your average everyday 270 SPO you see. Generator emergency stop. But that pull station, for, well, a couple reasons, shouldn't just be outside. Number one, I wanted a little trickier to pull than just simply pulling a pull station, but also mainly that pull station shouldn't be out in the weather getting wet. I do in fact have one on top of my tower outside that's been out for like 3 or 4 years, and it's actually still fine, so maybe that wasn't a great example. I have opened this up because I did print some labels, but what we have here is an STI stopper. But just like the pull station, not your standard fire labeled stopper. We have this guy right here. So right here you can see we have a clear stopper with no print, so it doesn't say fire alarm or anything because we're going to custom label it, but it is yellow to match the pull station. And this is a weatherproof model where you can see we have room to install our device in here. And you can also see this is definitely a horn model. Extremely loud, but I'll actually show that later when I don't have my thumb halfway covered it. So we're going to be installing all of that on our generator building here. And of course also tying it in and programming it into our addressable fire alarm system. So when that device is pulled, that will automatically trip the fire alarm system and shut the generator down. So this is going to be pretty cool. I do apologize that it is now nighttime too, so lighting is not going to be the greatest. I was hoping this would get delivered earlier, but it didn't, so here we are. So we want to install this in a quickly accessible spot, just like you would with any fire alarm pull station, because we want this to be able to be tripped in an emergency. Should this building in here be on fire and the fire department wants to cut off power to the building, that is something that can be done by them calling the power company, either pull the meter, or more realistically in an emergency like that, they're just going to cut the triplex feeding your house. Or if the fire was in this building, they could come into the house and turn off the main breaker in there. Either way, with that is an issue that if they wanted to do that, this is going to start fully automatically. And unless the detector is tripped in here, which most likely it's not going to be, it's going to turn power right back on, and they may not want power on in there. I have often seen where they don't cut off power, and that's why I didn't really think this was a huge concern, as usually they seem to just go straight in and don't seem to worry about it too much. But that's not to say every situation is the same, so it's definitely good to have that extra safety measure. Easy to see, easily accessible, so that in an emergency, any responding crew or myself could quickly, easily pull a device and shut down this generator, cutting all power to this garage building. So I think a perfect place to install that would be right here, right in line with your main entrance. All right, so let's take a look at how we mount these. I have done one of these style once, but it's been a little bit, so I should probably open this up, take a look at what we're working with, because I remember these ones are a little weird because they don't actually give you a hole in this bit here to bring your wires through. You kind of have to do some of making your own here to make this work. So they put 2 of the screws in out of the 6, holding this white piece in here. And now this should pop out, which you can see that's out now, and you get this rubber gasket around here, as this is a weatherproof device. So now with this is we can mount this up on the wall. So we're going to drill out these 4 screws here for us to be able to mount this. We're also going to need to drill a hole in the center for our wires to come through, and then we'll have to figure out how we're going to drill out this piece there for our pull station wires to stick through here, where our pull station will then mount onto here like this. So there we got our 4 holes in the corner, and I'm thinking I'm going to want to mount this right up here on the corner of our generator building. But I want to check before we drill our hole through, making sure there's no obstructions on the inside to make sure that we are going to be good wherever we put our hole. Turn the heat lamp up a little bit, give us some light in there. So looking up in this corner here, we can see that as long as we're not right on the stud or right on the roof, if we're somewhere right around here, pretty much in the middle, we will be fine. So with this here, you can see that this big white portion has this big backside to it, and I don't want to bring our wire right in behind that, because then that's obviously going to be right in the way. So we can go in on either corner of this, but it really does not give us a lot of room. However, I think if any spot's going to be best, it would probably be right about here. I think if I can drill not a lot of room, but it's going to have to do. So I'm going to use this guy here. This is a 7/8 inch high-speed carbide cutter. These are great for cutting metal, but they also zip through plastic pretty quick too. So right here, that does give us clearance to the wall. Covers don't really give you a ton of room. They're all right if you're bringing pipe in the bottom. That's not as bad, but we're not doing that, so hopefully this will work out. Okay, so now if we put this cover up on here, and the way we're going to put it, if we line it up right here, that's pretty good. That also gives us some nice sturdy studs to screw this into, and that will put our hole in the generator building right there. So I'm going to drill the whole thing large enough for a connector. So if we center this guy there, chances are if we're using a BX connector, we're going to have to zip this a little bigger with the oscillating saw, but that gives us a start and gets us through the insulation in there. So my conductor I'm going to run to this is going to be this stuff here. This is this one's an 18.3 fire alarm BX cable. So this is what I was talking about with the BX strap, or the BX, what's the word I'm looking for? This guy. This thing's kind of fat, so it's going to need a little bit more zipped out of the way here. So we'll grab oscillating saw, and for that we're just going to zip this out a little bit bigger so that you can fit the whole BX connector. I think this has about the dullest blade on it that it possibly could. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so I'm gonna get this all prepared and entered into the box here. So we need some of this Fireline BX, so we're going to cut that and break that. That doesn't want to let go. Chop this off, make that smooth. This one doesn't need an anti-short because we have the secondary sheathing on there. We'll go ahead and cut that off now. Now with this guy here, take the lock nut off, and I'm going to need a screwdriver. Enter our connector onto here. Tighten this guy back up. We'll push this through. That's what's going to go into our fire alarm monitor module. And this side is going to go into this here. So you can see that fit on there. And then put our lock nut on the other side. Alright, that's nice and tight. And now that should slip onto there, like so. So there, our conductor is brought in. Will that white part still go in there? Well, hopefully, who knows. Got these bigger guys to go into the stud and little guy, because that's all that's going to bite as far as the plywood goes. Now whether it's level or not, I don't really care, as long as it's parallel with the edge of the building. Whoa. Okay, less solid. That did not make it into the stud. And you know what? None of that's really working, so we're going to have to do our own thing. I actually did manage to get another long one done at an angle into there, into a piece of 2x4 I have down here to mount the emergency light. So with that one up, that one down, and those ones in the normal way, I managed to get each part of this secured into something solid. Okay, so next we'll actually put the pull station in there. Boy, you brought me something. What's this? What's this? But there's a few things we need to do that. So our pull station has pigtails, so 2 connections there. We will use some morettes to splice into our incoming wire, but we're also going to need an end-of-line resistor to keep the fire alarm system happy. So the other 2 are going to go into this terminal block. I cut this piece off of a bunch of those guys there. So one side will screw into there, and the other side we'll install a resistor. So these will take this one here. 47 k ohm resistor is what the monitor modules use. If it's something like NACs or Bell circuits or zones on many Honeywell systems, they'll be 4.7. Or if they're NACs on the Onyx series of panel, they are these ones 2.2K, I believe. So there is absolutely no polarity with any of this stuff. It's just going to be one wire goes to one side, the other goes to the other. So we'll strip these guys back here. And I gotta do something about this lid. This is getting annoying. So we'll take a black and white from one side of this here. And then on the other side we'll take our resistor. And a tip when buying resistors, buy these ones. These ones are rated at 1/2 watt. Don't buy those stupid 1/4 watt ones. I can tell you from experience, you'll regret it. The little metal pieces are so tiny on the thing that it just bends too easy. It's a pain to work with. And I just realized something. I goofed up. This guy is supposed to go on here first, and that's what the pull station needs to screw onto. So we need to drill a hole in here for our wires from the pull station to go through. So the top of this gives us the most room, and same with the top of the pull station. So we're going to drill all our hole. Well, I don't know, they kind of only give us room on the side. So actually I guess we'll drill our hole on that side right there. Now they give us a little grommet that you're supposed to put in there, and they say drill a 5/8 inch hole, so that's what we'll do. That's 5/8 there. So then here they give us this little grommet to make it waterproof. Which way this is supposed to go in, I should probably read the instructions. Insert grommet, okay, from the inside, so that goes in this way, apparently. I see. They don't really give you a hole on the other side of it, so I guess we have to make that. So everything from the back of the pull station, all those wires are going to go through that grommet. It's probably easy for us to make a hole. Okay, now we can pull those from the other side here. That's definitely pretty waterproof because that is tight seal. So we're going to just pull as much as we got through here. And we'll secure this later on. But now these are all ready to... Okay, so that's all good there. So now we just have to fit this in the box. It shouldn't be too big of a deal. Make sure nothing's pinched there. We'll just do a test fit before we get the screws out. Yeah, they do not give you much room behind the box. Okay, once everything's actually tucked behind there, that's not bad. So now we need to put these 6 screws back. Now to attach the pull station, we'll just open it up like you would any other 270 SPO, and we need to screw 2 screws into these holes here. Okay, so that should be all good out here. Okay, now we have some work to do on the inside of it. So now in here, we need to install our monitor module that's going to monitor this pull station. So we need to install that on a 4x4 box. We do not have much more room on this wall down here, so we're going to have to ceiling mount it. So we need SLC, of course, so we're going to take that off one of these detectors. So we're going to take down our detector here. Going to open up this knockout right here. And I'm going to put a EMT connector into here. Short piece of EMT. And then this box here, I will put that right here. I need to get some knockout fillers for it. And that's going to go on right there. Tighten this guy up. I'm trying not to get in the way of the camera. I'm trying not to touch this light bulb that will burn me at the same time. And then we're going to bring our BX in right here. So I'll put in another BX connector right here. And then to actually bring our BX in, we'll bring it down. I'll probably tie wrap it up to that other pipe later on. And if that will break right here. And I'm going to attach this BX just to this conduit here with some tie wraps. This SLC branches off a million different ways, so it doesn't really matter that much exactly whereabouts we tie onto this. We just need a side coming in and a side continuing out to continue our Class A loop. I'm just going to splice on to this guy instead here. It really does not matter where. I'm just gonna pick something and that's what we're gonna make it. I did cut the ground out of it because we don't need a ground. The box and the EMT is our ground here. So this is gonna look really complicated. It's actually not. It's just two wires going out from one side and going back in to the next device. That was a terrible way to explain it. And we're basically just gonna go color for color, and we just have to remember on the actual terminals which side is one side, like which side is both positive, if that makes sense. But we know on this system, brown and black are the same thing. So everything under that smoke detector can now go back together, I think. I think we spliced that together, right? We're just tapping into the loop. It's nothing too major. We just have to be conscious of our colors when we splice into our new monitor module on which terminal, making sure our negatives are on the right side and our positives are on the right side. So now we're going to strip this guy and get ready for our monitor module. And mid-video advertisement here for myself. Actually, I made a brand new Instagram account. I know I have lots of people that watch my channel that are interested in aviation, like myself. So I made a new account. So not only I have my usual Nick Systems and Electric Instagram, I also have a new Nick's Planes and Aviation. It's Nick_aviation. Where I have all my aviation pictures, videos, that sort of thing. So check that out. Give that some support if you guys are interested. So this detector can go back up here. Okay, this is our monitor module. This is a notifier one. This is a Firelight system. Not what you technically should do, but I don't have any Firelight ones and I got a lot of notifier ones. So notifier it is. So firstly, we're going to splice in our SLC. So we'll strip all of these guys here, and hopefully we can then hit reset and we won't have an SLC open trouble anymore. So this is our SLC terminals. Our top one's SLC negative, so let's start with that. So that is black and should be blue, but the colors are wrong on this system, so it's going to be black and brown. The colors being wrong isn't really a big deal as long as you know it's wrong and you keep it consistent. A system being the not technically right colors isn't too bad if it's consistently wrong. It's when you got a mixture of the two and it keeps changing where then it's difficult to work on. So that's our SLC spliced back together, and that guy is actually blinking now, and we would have got an SLC short if we had reversed the polarity on the module, or if we had each wire like negative and positive under the same terminal. So we should be good to reset the system now. We just have the open because that is a latching trouble. So we'll reset the system, and this should go back all normal and happy. Alright, that's good to see. So now we're going to splice up our conventional side, which first of all we're going to deal with the ground. Not that there's actually anything bonded at the other end, but I'd rather have it just done up. Should anything ever get changed at the end, you never know. Takes 2 seconds, so we'll do it up. We have a screw inside the box here, so we'll just wrap it around that screw. And then we just have these colors to put on here, our red and black, which we already have the end of line resistor done up at the other end. So here's the question that I can never remember. Do we put it on A or B? I think it's B, because our T9 and T8 are negative, positive, and that says A for class A. However, down here T7, T9 say A/B. So I think those are the ones we would be using if we were doing it class B or A. Those are going to get used either way, and then the top ones would only be your return if you were doing class A. I can never remember which way it is. I just have to look at it. If I did them like 10 times a day, I'd probably eventually figure it out. Okay, so I think that's all good. So we'll actually install this guy on the box and hopefully be done with it here. Okay, now the fun part, programming. Actually, the fun part's testing, but first we have to do some programming, which is slightly more fun. First, we need to see which module is available next. So I'm going to just go into read status, and I'm going to do system point. This is going to be a module, so we'll hit 2. And I don't know, we're just going to start with 1 and work our way up. So 1's the pull, 2 is another pull, 3 is a pull, 4 is a pull, 5 is the house monitor, 6 is our generator shutdown relay, which we'll need to come back to this anyways because that's zone 9 there, but I'm going to take a picture of that so I can remember that zone 9 is what we'll need to be set to. Module 9 is taken, so 6 was taken, 9, 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, back to 1, but 7 was not. So we'll set this to address 7. Okay, so setting this guy to address number 7. So our 10's place here can stay, and just our 1's place needs to be turned up to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I've turned off the front lights so you can see that a little better. So now we got to do some programming. So we know that number 7's available. So instead of being in read status, we're going to go programming. We're going to go level 2 password, all zeros. We're going to do a point program number 2. This is going to be a module, so we'll hit number 2 again, and we're going to add one. We are going to add address 7, so 007. This is going to be a monitor module, so number 2. That's not great. So we're going to pull the SLC. Would have also set off the house system. Okay, so I've taken this back apart here and metering across basically where the system was tied onto it. I'm getting 3 ohms, so pretty much dead short. I was thinking we were supposed to go between white and black like that, but there's an issue with the pull station, or this one is wired a little differently. So let's see if I test black to black. I thought that would be direct short, which it is. So what's going on here? Is it this resistor? I'm a little perplexed as to what seems to be the issue here. This should not be showing a short metering between white and black, but that is still showing a short. Is this like a normally closed pull station or something weird? So if we switch the switch in the pull station, then what is it? Pull station's reversed. Well, I wonder if we can switch the button around. So this pull station is a normally closed, where when you pull it, it opens the contacts, which is the opposite of how fire alarm systems are set up to be. So take this little lock nut off first. Nothing ever goes perfect, right? There's always some little hiccup. Worst case scenario, if we can't turn this button around, I can probably take a button out of a normal pull station. I'm thinking I can probably just reverse the whole... Can't. They got a little stupid notch thing in there. Okay, so they got a little notch there. I'm thinking I can deal with that. So if we take a step bit here, I'll push the switch over to the side here, and I'm just going to turn the switch upside down. Okay, that got rid of that stupid notch. So the notch before had the notch part sticking up. So we're going to just change that around. Okay, so that's, I don't know, we gotta meter that again. What position's that in? Okay, so that's normal and it's open. And then when we switch that up, that's closed. So that's how we need it to be. Put our little lock nut back on there. Okay, so that's as tight as I can get that. All right, so now I'm just gonna hook up everything back here, and there's nothing really for me to show here. So, all right, we're all back to normal here, so I'll close that, and I should probably test if that actually still pulls it. Yep, that switches the switch, so that's all good. Continue where I left off with the programming, but first I'm gonna head into the house and disable the tie into the system. In case we set this off again, I won't, hopefully, set things off in here, because I don't need the annunciator beeping and this guy screaming for no reason in the house. Okie dokie, so garage building B tie-in disable. Alright, that has our disabled. So we will continue where we left off. So we can plug our SLC back in. Wait for that to initialize, and then we'll keep programming where we were. So we actually programmed it in, but we need to program what we want it to do now. Because we want this to shut the generator down, but we don't want this to actually trigger the fire alarms. We don't need it to be a fire alarm trigger. It just needs to be a generator shutdown. So it still needs to activate the fire alarm relay, but it doesn't need to actually set the fire alarm system off. So we'll see if there's like a non-fire we can program that as, where it will trip that zone 9 logic zone, but by default it's set up as fire alarm or pull station, however it comes up as default. So that's why it set our system off when that first programmed in, which, I mean, hey, at least that means the monitor module works. Okay, so on the good note here is it doesn't say open. So we're going to continue with programming here. Level 2, point program, module. We'll now edit. This is number 7, and it's set to monitor by default. Enabled, yes. Type. Let's see what we can do. We don't want it pull station, water flow. We have monitor, smoke, medical alert, hazard alert, tamper. I don't know what the user defined stuff is. If we have to, we'll set it up as a supervisory. That might be fine. Okay, I think we'll just program it in as a supervisory. Actually, maybe we should do supervisory AR. Supervisory AR. That way when we reset the pull station, it'll go back by itself and we don't actually need to reset the system. That's probably a good idea to do that. So type supervisory AR. Pre-signal, no. It's not really something that we'll have. Pre-signal walk test, sure, we can have walk test. And zone assignment, we need it set to zone 9 and only 9. That's all it needs to do. And we will title it. We'll do description, clear. Okay, now this is what takes a long time. Okay, so generator e-stop. So that should be all good. I don't think there's anything else we need to do with that right there. When we escape, it will say saving system config. Yep. So that should be all good and ready to test. Once this goes back to normal, we'll make sure that it goes to our system normal message and everything's good. Then I think we're ready to give it a test. There's a couple things out here to do. First, we can put the cover back on this guy. So put our monitor module cover on. Secondly, here with this, we need to label this. So I was going to put emergency generator stop, say what it is, and we'll need to pull this and arm our siren. And then lastly will be the fun part, testing all of this. The first of those 3 things is now done. That has the cover back on. I probably will put a label on that eventually. I need to figure out how I open this up to label it. I see a couple screws in there, but I don't think those are it. I think it's just this guy on the top needs to come off. It isn't actually a tamper-proof one, but I think a tamper-proof driver should fit that. Look at that, first try. Okay, and that pops that off. All right, I got this back here. It's probably crooked or something, but that's on there, so we'll screw this back on. All right, so there we go. So now I'm going to arm this thing. So I'm going to pull this and slam it shut. So this is how we are looking up here. Looks pretty good. Now to really give the full effect here, I think we should start the generator up, get it running, and pull that new device. So generator off. Usually just says standby, not off. Maybe they did an update to the app or something. Yeah, that's usually what it said. Anyway, start it. All right, so you see the generator's now running. So we can go ahead and pull that pull station. We shouldn't even need to silence it because it should go back to normal by itself. That doesn't mean the generator will start up again, because it won't start until we hit start on the app again. We'll have to reset it first because it will trip into an alarm or a problem that it's shut down without being told through the app. It's shut down for another reason. But we'll open this up, we'll hear the siren, and we will pull it. Guess first I should actually take the glass out. All right, I think we're ready. And it's not working. It triggered the e-stop, but the generator's still running. So the auto resetting part worked right. It went back to normal, but for some reason it didn't shut down our zone 9. So I'm wondering what we've got going on with there. So we'll go to point program, module, edit. That was number 7. Oh, we didn't have a zone. I could have sworn I added a zone. Okay, well, whatever. Zone assignment 09. So we'll try that again once that's done resetting. Hopefully, this time, this will all work out properly. Okay, we're all reset. Let's give it another test. And that certainly set the generator down. You can see that our generator shutdown is tripped, as well as the monitor module up here that's monitoring our new pull station. So both of those modules have done their thing. Generator e-stop. And that should all go back to normal just by resetting this. That siren's horrible, so I'm going to silence that again. And this could use a smaller screwdriver to get in here, not going to lie. We'll put our brake glass in here. And when I reset this, we should hear some relays click and this go back to normal. Yep, I'm gonna flip that a few times with the door open here so you guys can see what's going on inside of here. You can watch that relay on there trip and you can hear the relay in the generator. Pull it in 3, 2, 1 and reset. Okay, it certainly didn't work perfect the first time, but that's definitely working correctly now. So we can close that up. That's all good. Pull the pin. All right. And I think we should leave this guy probably in the fire alarm panel. And I will reset our right here because we'll have to... Thought we would have to reset it. I guess not. Anyway, that's all good out here. So there are some other details I'm going to do. We have a little cap that I think we can put in the top so that doesn't pool with water. Yes, we do. This guy right here. I will also go around all the edges of it and silicone this up to make sure it's all watertight. And I will label that that motor module on the inside. Alrighty guys, well, that's about it for this install. Now that it's all sorted out, that's working pretty good. There's definitely a little bit of trial and error. First, I didn't realize that that was set up as normally closed, opposed to the regular normally open, so we had to solve that. And once we figured out that the zone 9 hadn't been assigned to that point, I thought it had been. I could have sworn I added that in, but I guess somehow that didn't. But now that that's both fixed, this is all good. So let me know what you guys think about this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and also make sure to check out both my Instagram's account, not only my Pickle 700 for the electrical, but if you're interested, if you're like myself, interested in airplanes, airports, pretty much anything aviation, I got some cool pictures on there, and I like to show the spotting I do and that sort of stuff. So that's a new thing of mine that I've been recommended I should probably do, so I thought I'd create that. So give that some support if you're interested, of course. And yeah, so other than that, if you do have any comments, questions, feel free to leave those down in the comment section. And if you do enjoy the channel, make sure to subscribe. Alrighty guys, thanks for watching. Not gonna lie, I totally forgot about this.